All right, this is K1DBC. Good evening. My name is Daron. I am Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Learning Net tonight. I apologize for that, and I thank everyone for your patience. I believe at the moment we should be live on YouTube. I was having some issues getting it started, but I think it should be there. I think the title is wrong, but I'll have to go back and fix that. So if you search for W0TX or DRC or K1DBC currently on YouTube, you should be able to find the live stream of this. This is a direct net for the purpose of connecting amateurs seeking help or advice with Elmers willing to mentor. This net meets every Wednesday except for the third Wednesday of the month at 1930 hours on the W0TX repeater on frequency 145.490, link with 448.625, both with a negative offset and tone of 100. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? For recognition by Net Control, please use your call sign. Everyone is welcome. This is an on-air meeting for amateurs seeking help and Elmers giving their time to mentor. If you have any questions for the Learning Net and don't yet have your license or otherwise wish to contact the net, you may do so via email at drclearningnet@gmail.com. We also have a public mailing list at groups.io, groups.io/g/ham Learning Net. We will begin by inviting Elmers only to check in. With or without traffic, all Elmers please check in now.
Alpha 0, Juliet Kilo. AA0JK. Good evening with traffic.
All right, Net Control, I'd like to thank and acknowledge the following check-in. Elmers, AA0JK, Fred with traffic, thank you. All other check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. Please use ITU phonetics as you check in and indicate if you have traffic or questions for Elmers as you do. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Good evening, Daron. Tom, Kilo 6 Hotel, Juliet Victor. No traffic. Deputy 0, CIV, no traffic.
Whiskey Delta 6, Delta Oscar Kilo. Rich in Arvada, no traffic.
All right, Net Control, I'd like to thank and acknowledge the following check-ins. K6HJV Tom. I think there may have been a double in there. I think it maybe have been Kevin, K0KPS, if not, disregard. And then I had WB0CIV. I'm sorry, WD0CIV, Charles. And WD06DOK, Rich.
K0KPS, or correct, it was Kevin.
Perfect. This is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Alpha through Mike, A through M. And you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Learning Net, please call now. Radio Club Learning Net, please call. Okay, we'll go ahead and open up to the second part of the alphabet, or we'll do the whole alphabet, A through Z. If you want to call in, check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, please call now. We're taking the whole alphabet.
Kilo Zero, Papa, Juliet, Whiskey, Peter in Northland, with question.
Kilo Zero, Yankee Echo Sierra, Kansas Bluefield.
Kilo Delta Zero, Whiskey, Mike, Oscar, Steve, Mobile and Aurora.
Kilo Echo Zero, Sierra Uniform Mike, Jonathan, Lakewood, no traffic.
All right, Net Control, I'd like to thank and acknowledge the following check-ins. K0PJW, Peter, with a question. K0YES, Ken. KD0WMO, Steve. And KE0SUM, Jonathan. Anyone else who'd like to check in or any other rechecks or corrections, please call now.
W0TX, repeater.
KD0YPK, Mike in Littleton, no traffic.
Whiskey Zero, Delta, Victor Lima, Craig and Parker.
All right, this is K1WC Net Control. I had KD0YPK Mike, and then I thought I had W0DVR Greg, but I don't think that's correct. If you want to correct that once more, please go ahead.
Sure, yeah. So Whiskey Zero, Delta, Victor Lima, Craig and Parker, no traffic.
All right, I got you that time. Whiskey Zero Delta Victor Lima Craig. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. We'll go ahead and take the whole alphabet. If you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, please call now. DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Just one more time, again, we are starting to stream on YouTube now. You don't have to go on it right now, but it will be there'll be archived videos and audio of our nets going forward. So if you search for DRC or W0TX or K1DBC on YouTube going forward, you should find some videos. Again, we're going to try to get that on our official DRC Club YouTube page, but for now it is on mine. So with that, we'll go ahead and throw it over to Fred with traffic. AA0JK, the net is yours. Go ahead.
AA0JK, good evening, everyone. And boy, what a weekend. I hope that lot of you took advantage of the QSO Today virtual fair and enjoyed the speakers and presentations that they had there over the 2-day period. And it looks like they plan on having another virtual get-together on March the 13th and 14th. But I'm hoping that many of you were able to take advantage of this first one, the initial one here. But a lot of topics were covered. A lot that topics that come up here on the Learning Net were presented with guest speakers and a lot to be learned here. Kind of a sampling of some of the topics that were covered on the presentations. Let's see, simple HF antennas. That's a topic that always comes up here on the Learning Net, so that's something to take advantage of. Welcome to Arduino. Everything you need to know about lithium batteries. That topic has come up about batteries in the past here on the net, so that's a great one. Getting started with amateur radio satellites, and let's see, FT8 and FT14 introduction. Portable HF operating. Getting started in HF. Portable operating. Having fun with Morse code. Then they got into the solar minimum, the solar 24 and solar 25 presentation. Pack antenna. Now, boy, now there was a good one. That's quite a little antenna. Quite sure that any of you that do any portable operating would enjoy that. I know that most of their antennas are QRP, but definitely a very good presentation there on a slick little antenna design. Let's see, grounding and bonding by Ward Silver. He was there. CW Operators Academy and kit building. Just a few. I mean, there were so many that there's just no way during that 2-day period over the weekend that you could get in there and take advantage of all of those. So the ARRL has agreed to let us go in on the next 30 days and be able to go back and view some of these topics of interest. So you might want to keep an eye out on the ARRL website and take advantage of some of those presentations. Going to be really looking forward to seeing this next round next year. But that's it for now. AA0JK back to net control.
All right, absolutely. AA0JK, this is K1DBC. Good info there. Yeah, the QSO Today, hamexpo.com, occurred over the weekend. And their times were in UTC and GMT, or so some of them started on Friday evening. And I just didn't really pay attention close enough to that. But yeah, all of those are available online. If you go to the QSO Today, hamexpo.com website, you can find more info on that. And then there's the all the archived videos on there. So a lot of stuff. Very, very cool. Absolutely. I'll throw it out there. Anyone else? Was anyone else catch any of the that virtual Hamfest this weekend? Any tracks that were of any interest to you? Anything keyed your interest? Anything you want to bring up on that? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC net control. Yeah, at least these are all archived and online, and hopefully should be on YouTube for forever. Hopefully they do not remove these. So, a lot of good information here, and lot of good archives. So yeah, go over to QSO Today, hamexpo.com for more info on where to watch that. Okay, then with that, we'll go ahead to Peter, K0PJW, with a question. Go ahead.
K0PJW. Thank you for taking my call, and thank you for this net. My question is this. Somebody has been telling me that what I need to do is get a hotspot so that I can reach more around the world than I do now with my technician class license. So I got ready to do that, and the people that run OpenShark told me I need to have a DMR radio before I could use a hotspot. Someone else has just told me, no, that's ridiculous. You can do it with your Yaesu FTR D3, whatever it is, Yaesu FT3DR. What's the straight scoop? And then, if I'm able to use a hotspot with my existing equipment, how do I determine which one to buy?
Well, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'd like to speak to the person that said you can do that with an analog radio, because as far as I can tell, those DMR hotspots are for DMR radios only. You have to have a DMR Brandmeister radio or some sort of Yaesu System Fusion, some sort of digital radio. I've not heard about being able to use those for analog. Those hotspots are basically Wi-Fi on one range, 2.4 gigahertz. They connect to just regular internet, and then the other would just be, I think it's somewhere 400 megahertz, something like that. But it's all digital. I don't think you can do any analog with those DMR hotspots. Please, somebody chime in if I'm wrong, or if you know better, or if you know something different. I haven't really looked into it, but anybody know about using a? The only terminology I've heard of hotspot is within the DMR realm, or digital radio at least. So if anybody knows of hotspots for analog radios that can connect them to the internet, please call now.
Break K0PJW. My Yaesu FT3DR is digital radio. It is a fusion radio.
Delta Victor Lima.
Okay, yeah, that definitely makes a difference. With that, you can definitely integrate with that hotspot. Delta Victor Lima, though, go ahead, yeah.
Yes, sir. Thanks for running that. Yeah, I have a OpenSpot 3, and just so you know, I have been using my FT3DR with it, no problem. And with the OpenSpot 3, it does DMR, D-Star, and Yaesu, and it does different modes, DMR, so on and so forth. But very easy to configure and use your FT3DR with it with C4FM DVL.
All right, perfect. Thanks for the clarification there. Yeah, I didn't realize it had some sort of digital mode capability. I hadn't looked in far enough. But yeah, as far as between analog, I mean that's really the only use for those hotspots is you have to have some sort of C4FM or some sort of digital compatible radio. I don't think you can bring in any analog radio to those, but hopefully that kind of clears it up for you. If you want to go ahead and call back now.
That does clear it up. I could use my digital Yaesu radio for it. But the second part of the question is, how do I determine which hotspot to buy? The one earlier referenced, the OpenSpot 3, is an inexpensive critter at about $300. Other options?
TIV with a comment.
Yeah, go ahead with the comment.
Okay, if you've got a FT3DR radio, you order the cables, not the cable that came with it, but the other cables. I think it's an SCC40 kit. Has all the cables in it. I think, well, I can't remember the price. I think it was like $40 or whatever. Anyway, you take that one cable out, you plug it into your computer, you download Yaesu's WireX program, hook up your radio to the computer, it'll actually, you'll have to read the books on how to put your radio in direct or what's the other one they called it? PDN? Anyway, with PDN, I think you need two radios, so I don't do that. I do direct. And hook up the cables, and you can pick out any country, any room in those countries. There could be 10,000 to 100,000 rooms per country, and you can talk all over the world with it. You don't need to buy a hotspot. Your radio is the hotspot. And the computer, of course, hooked to the internet. But anyway, I'll let somebody else talk about hotspots because I don't have one of them. And I don't know the difference in pricing, but I'm sure it's not, I don't know if it's $40 or not, but the cables are 40. If you already got the cables, all you need to do is go into Yaesu.com and get the software and everything. Download it to your computer, and you're all set. Anyhow, this is WD0CIV. Go ahead, pass it back to net control.
All right, sounds good. Thank you there for the info. Yeah, it turns out some radios you don't really need that hotspot, but it may potentially provide some ease of use. So, as you mentioned, the open spot, all of them are kind of going to be pretty much similar feature sets. They all allow kind of interoperability between at least DMR Brandmeister and I think Yaesu System Fusion or C4FM. The open spot is an all-in-one. You don't really need to buy anything else or put anything with it. There are other kits available. There's the DVM or Jumbo Spot. These kits are available for around $40 to $50 on eBay or AliExpress or something like that. And you need to bring in a Raspberry Pi Nano wireless, which is about $10 you can buy locally. And so you get the antenna and the case and maybe an OLED screen, and you just have to buy the Raspberry Pi itself. And it has a open source Linux based distribution. Let me drop for a moment here. And over the years, the feature sets have become parity with that more expensive open spot. I think the open spot may potentially have some things still that the open source ones don't, but for the most part, it will allow you to wirelessly connect your radio to these other different modes. So it sounds like those are your two different options there, is either wired through some cabling that you may already have, or wirelessly through a hotspot, either open spot or potentially cheaper option, but they're all kind of similar. So with that, I'll go ahead and throw it back to you. Go ahead.
PJW. I appreciate it. I knew the option for doing the SC40 cable from Yaesu was out there, but I didn't know what I needed to do to make that work, and I didn't realize that it would give me that same operability, at least to go to those different rooms. All right, questions are all answered. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. Probably have more next week.
All right, sounds good. No problem. Anyone else, while we're on that topic about Hotspot or Yaesu System Fusion or WiresX? I know we're having a meeting upcoming here about some of the Hotspot stuff. But anyone else on that particular topic or anything else we brought up so far, please call now.
WD0CIV again, see if I've got it.
W0TX repeater.
Okay, sounds like I got it. Anyway, let's see. I believe it's the 19th. The W0SUN Bill is going to give a whole talk on hotspot stuff and other stuff that you might hold off on buying anything until after you listen to that. And it's the normal day that the Denver Radio Club has their meeting, but the meeting is not in person. It's going to be on, kind of like what you call YouTube, not really YouTube, but anyway, you get all the information on how to listen to the DRC program off of the W0TX.org website. Another thing on the Fusion thing, you're going to have to download two what they call instruction manuals. One of them called Advanced Operations, the other one's called WiresX. You'll need those two plus your main manual that you've got with your radio, and you'll need those. And you read through those, and you'll be either so confused or you'll be able to figure it out in just a few minutes. It only took me 3 days, but anyway. I'm a pretty slow reader. Anyway, this is WD0CIB. We're turning it back over to net control.
All right, sounds good there. WD0CIV. Thanks for the info there. Yeah, lots of manuals to read and lots of info. These are all pretty complex. And yeah, as you mentioned, if you go to w0tx.org, you can find more info. August 19th, 7 p.m. is going to be the presentation time. Bill Buckwalter, W0SUN, and yeah, it's going to be on Google Meet, and there's just a link on our homepage there. So. Yep, lots of confusion in regards to hotspots, and this might hopefully clear some things up for some people. So that's another good opportunity to clear some of this up as well.
That's awesome, guys. Thanks for all the help.
No problem, absolutely. At this time, we'll go ahead and just take further check-ins. If you just tune in, my name is Daron. My call sign is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. I am Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. It's an on-air meeting for amateurs seeking help, and Elmers giving their time to help us. Everyone is welcome to join in. If there's anyone who wishes to check in at this time, please do so with your call sign using I2 Phonetics, your name, and state if you have traffic or questions for the net. All right, one more time. This is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Is there anyone who wishes to check in at this time? Please do so with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have traffic or questions. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Another reminder again, we are moving things over to YouTube. So instead of Google Meet, Google Hangout for the to see behind the scenes here, what I'm looking at, it is on YouTube. So you can stream it on your TV, your phone, however you'd like, and it is archived. So if you search for W0TX or DRC, it is live streaming right now, and it will also be archived. I've put up a few of the nets that I've gotten so far, as well as the St. Anthony Hospital move that we had done. So you can find more info again at YouTube on just search for W0TX on YouTube, and you can find some of the recent videos that I have put up there. Okay, this is K1DBC Net Control. I don't see anyone else indicate that they had traffic questions. If I did and I missed it, I apologize. Let me know. But if anybody has any further traffic questions, or anything else for the net, please call now. I do have a few things I can pass, but I'll go ahead and pass it back out to the net. Does anybody else have any other comments, questions, or anything so far for the net, or anything else you'd like to bring up? Please call now.
PJW again. Okay, I just made a quick phone call to somebody, and they told me that yes, I have good information about using that cable and the software to go ahead and connect to my computer. But they said you sacrifice your radio, and then they weren't able to clarify with that. Is the person who was out there giving me that advice available to maybe talk about that? Because with this handheld, it would seem to me that my sacrifice is just when I'm sitting here in the shack. I can't unplug it and go on and do my thing unless it permanently changes something in the radio, I believe. K0PJW and back to net control.
DVL.
Yeah, go ahead, DO.
Yes, sir. So I guess to add to what you were talking about as far as the hotspot, and I've done both. And so what you do is you plug in your radio into your computer, and there's I can't remember the key sequence, but there's a couple different keys you have to push on the radio. And basically you put the radio into, I believe what's called a PDN, or personal digital node mode. And from the standpoint of sacrificing radio, at that point in time, the radio no longer transmits. So anytime you're actually keying the mic, it's not actually transmitting any RF. It's through the WiresX software. You'll click on which room you want to be in, and when you do transmit, it's just transmitting through the USB cable. Very cool. There's a second way you can actually hook up the radio, which is where you can't transmit. You can't actually use the key the mic on the radio, but you can actually have it listen if you have a second radio, and you can actually transmit to the WiresX room through that FT3DR. And so there's kind of two different ways you can do it, but it is kind of tying up the radio in the sense that you can't really do anything with it otherwise. And I think the other thing, as far as going back to the hotspot goes, is that the main thing with the hotspot is it doesn't actually allow you to connect to a quote-unquote WiresX room. There are some rooms that, I believe like the America Link, it has another way of connecting to it, but primarily what the hotspot does is it allows you to use your Yaesu radio talking C4FM to the hotspot, and then you can talk to Brandmeister, connect to a DMR Brandmeister room, or other D-Star rooms, so on and so forth. But and the main thing I use it for is connecting to YSF reflectors. So there's actually a use for having both. So I hope that helps a little bit. Delta Victor Lima.
W0TX repeater.
This is K0PJW. I'll pick it back up. So yeah, that does help a lot. But I assume that the button sequence can be undone at some point in time. What I'm thinking about is during the winter, I'm not going to be out taking my handheld very many places. I'll use my mobile radio in my truck. So it can sit here on the shelf and talk to my computer all day, every day with me until such time as I go out in time again. Would you guess that that's reasonable?
That's correct. You can put it in and out of that PDN mode. It's just a matter of turning it off and then holding. I can't remember looking at mine. I think it's the wires X button and the display button. I think you hold at the same time as you're powering it on. And if you want to exit that mode, you just turn it off and then turn it back on, holding those keys. So, but yeah, otherwise you can just leave it connected to your computer in that mode, and then use the wires X software to connect to whatever wires X rooms you want to connect to. So, but like I said, there is a distinction between using connecting to a wires X room versus just the C4FM digital protocol through a hotspot to connect to other non-wires X rooms.
Okay, thank you. I've got it. So if I wanted to talk to the broader audience, that is to say, go to DMR, go to P25, or one of those protocols, the actual hotspot's the right way to go. If I want to stay dedicated wires X or similar, then the Yaesu wired connection to the computer is the way to go.
Correct. Yep. They both have their different purposes depending on which way you want to connect. So, Whiskey 0, Delta Victor Lima.
CIV.
DVL, thanks for the follow-up there. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of confusion surrounding it for sure. CIV, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. All that information was very, very well done and correct. Now, I will give you one piece of information that you need to remember with your FT3DR radio. Never plug in a microphone. Never plug in a data line or any kind of cable to that radio if the radio is turned on. Always make sure the radio's off and then plug in your cables and then turn your radio on. In fact, to hook it to a computer, you have to start out with it in the off position in the first place because of the sequence of buttons you need to push depending on whether you want to go direct or PND or PDN mode, which is PDN mode is digital and analog, and direct just digital. Anyway, direct is a lot easier. That's all I got for right now. This is W0CIV. We're going to go ahead and turn it over to net control.
All right, thank you there for the follow-up there, WD0CIV. Yeah, absolutely. You kind of want to be careful in how you're plugging things and unplugging things, and if there's power and not power, yeah, absolutely. You don't want to take any risks with that stuff. Thank you for the follow-up there. Anyone else on those topics we've spoken about so far, hotspots or Yaesu System Fusion or portable digital node, PDN mode, or anything else you'd like to bring up, please call now.
DVL with one last point.
Yeah, DVL, go ahead.
Yeah, just one last thing I wanted to add is that if you don't want to go that route, the other thing is there are starting to be more Fusion repeaters in the metro area. I don't know where you're located. SkyHubLink.com. That they have, I think, 2 or 3 different Fusion radios in the general metro area. And the other thing is the Parker Radio Club, we're going to have our fusion radio in the east side of Parker, which should cover most of the east side of, I guess, Lone Tree, Parker area, depending on where you are. And that'll be up here hopefully at the end of the month. So that is another alternative if you don't want to connect your radio to your computer, is trying to find out if you have a fusion repeater nearby, and you can actually hit the wires X button and connect to that fusion repeater. And a lot of them are steerable, so you can actually type in the room that you want to connect to, and it'll get you there that way. One thing obviously is that to keep in mind is when you change a room through the repeater, it's for everybody that's getting that room. So just something that to keep in mind. So anyway, that's the last thing I want to add. Back to that Delta Victor Lima.
K0PJW. Yes, sir. I just wanted to let you know I've been working with Jack over at Skyhub Link, and right now they've got 7 or 8, maybe more, repeaters in that system. And yes, it's a good way to go. My concern is that DMR has become pretty prevalent, and I'd really like to have the capability of being able to hop over to DMR when I want it. So in the final analysis, it looks like the hotspot for me. But maybe in the interim, I'm going to go ahead and connect direct to the computer. In the future sometime, I'm going to get the FT90, the 991A, and we'll see what we can do in the future. But I'm trying to get the best bang for my buck right now, and then move forward later on. K0PJW, back to net.
All right, sounds good there. This is K1DBC. Yeah, absolutely, PJW. There's definitely a lot of options out there depending on kind of what you want to do and what you're exactly what you want to do. Absolutely, and yeah, there's definitely different ways to bridge modes together, and there's definitely lots of options for that. But yeah, definitely those a hotspot definitely wouldn't hurt. They're pretty cheap to get, and you can definitely bridge over and save yourself some hassle with that. So very good topic here. Anyone else on the topic of hotspots or DMR Brandmeister, System Fusion, digital radio, anything like that? Please call now.
This is WD0CIV. Just to mention, DRC has a Fusion Wires X repeater, and if you put your radio on that frequency, hook it up for digital, and just push the X button on your radio, and it'll take you into the DRC room, and then from then on, you can see on your radio, you can search for different rooms or countries or whatever. Anyway, it has buttons for you to search or just type in where you want to go. And that's about all I got right now. WD0CIV. We're going to turn it back to net control.
W0TX repeater.
All right, yeah, absolutely. WD0CIV, yeah, w0tx.org for more info on that, and you can see the menu for drop down the other menus, and then you can click on DRC repeater listings, and if you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see the C4FM digital only Wires X repeater 449.775 and info on that. Yeah, absolutely, great info. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Does anyone else have any other topics or questions or anything else you'd like to bring up for the net? Otherwise, I can pass a few things that I have. Or any other check-ins, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Local news here, not necessarily radio related, but public safety. I mean, there's tons of wildfires occurring at the moment, so you got to be very, very, very careful, very, very careful. Just a lot of natural wildfires and just a lot going on. So, you know, depending on the counties you live in, and if you're part of different areas groups, you might be called up. So wildfire season for sure within the Colorado state. So very, very careful with what you're doing, and be very certain about fire restrictions, things like that. I'll go ahead and drop again. K1DBC Net Control. Not too much in the news at the moment. RTL-SDR.com always provides some good information. There is the DEF CON took place in August 6th through 9th, virtually, I believe, and it's a hacker convention. And so there's some pretty good talks about that. There's a talk about installing how to detect fake 4G cell sites. So you can use some software-defined radios and whatnot, and so a lot of software to kind of track down fake 4G cell sites. We know at least the U.S. government, I think, has been playing around with those in recent years and whatnot. So this is just some pretty cool hackery here. Always lots of crazy stories here. Tech Minds is a pretty good YouTube channel. They have pretty good basics on software-defined radio. So they did a topic about how to use OpenWeb RX, which is just a way to receive a software-defined radio feed, and then you can pipe it into like JT8 or any other decoder. So pretty interesting there. We can receive images from satellites and then use false colors to color them. So that's an interesting article here as well. Up converters. A lot of the old software-defined radios weren't capable of doing HF, and some required up converting to do. And so this this allows for 0 megahertz up to 6 gigahertz apparently on this one. Yeah. One other thing we've talked about before are radio sondes from, I think, the National Weather Service deploys these. And they are weather balloons, and they then pop, obviously, and then there's electronics on board, which they ask for them back, but you are not required to send them back. So you could track these things with different devices and go find them. So this is a something I brought up last week. The ESP32. It is an Arduino, a very cheap Arduino with Wi-Fi built in, essentially. And so somebody's used one of these boards to set up firmware for tracking radio sondes and go and retrieve them potentially. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I may have a couple of other things, but I'll go ahead and throw it out to the net. Does anyone else have any other comments, questions about anything brought up so far, anything I've brought up, anything else you'd like to speak about this evening? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Always lots of things on hackaday.com. Not too much radio related in general, but a lot of electronics. Yeah, if you have any interest in electronics, I would suggest just browsing hackaday.com because they always have lots of interesting stories. They have a podcast that comes out, I think, weekly or bi-weekly, so that's another great option to check into because so it's just a nice, relaxing podcast, and they kind of just talk about the stories and their favorite hacks and things like that. So check them out as well on your favorite podcast catcher, whatever, the Hackaday podcast. All right, yeah, I really don't have too much else at the moment. Again, I just want to keep pushing YouTube because right now we have a few videos up there. We have Learning Net from the 5th and 722. I didn't have any audio on for myself, but there's audio from the net. I also have this evening's net. We also have the Sunday night nets, as well as, again, the St. Anthony repeater move. Just photos and videos of that and cut down. So if you have any interest in seeing how that all went down, it is available online. So go check that out online. Again, YouTube, if you just search for W0TX or K1DBC or Denver Radio Club, it should be kind of at one of the top ones there. So go check that out. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I really don't have too much more at the moment. I'm kind of just looking through some photos of just ham radio memes and just getting youth into the radio hobby. So anyone else? So we have a few more minutes here, but if anyone else have any other traffic questions, late check-ins, anything else, please call now. BBC Net Control, I might start to wrap things up here. So again, so far this evening, we had spoken about the QSO Today Ham Expo. So again, you can go to qsotodayhamexpo.com, and I think you still have to sign up, but they have all their stuff on YouTube, archived videos of tons and tons and tons of talks there.
W0TX repeater.
Briefly spoke about System Fusion hotspots and FT3DR and that side of things. And then we also had brought up the upcoming Denver Radio Club meeting. Again, if you go to w0tx.org, you can find more info on our upcoming meeting. August 19th, Hotspot Fusion Confusion is the topic. Again, presented by Bill Buckwalter, W0SUN. He's going to be kind of explaining about accessing WiresX, Yaesu System Fusion, and Fusion FSS Fusion Networks via Brandmeister. So hopefully this might clear up any questions you have. So if you go to w0tx.org, you can find info for our Google Meet link. You do not need to be a ham radio operator. You don't need to be a Denver Radio Club member. Everyone is welcome to join in on that. And again, this is recorded right now. It's on YouTube, and it will be saved, and will be links of everything we've spoken about in there. I'll continue to also try to update our groups.io page, but again, the YouTube page has links to our groups.io as well as the net scripts. So feel free to check that out as well. All right, yeah, there have been a lot of virtual talks and meetings and conferences since all the COVID stuff, so I'll try to gather up resources because there's been a lot of electronics and engineering and a lot of stuff going on, a lot of information out there that is now available online. I guess, due to this. So, with that, I might start to wrap things up. I'll put it out there one more time. Are there any other traffic questions or late check-ins for the net? Please call now.
Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo with a question.
Yeah, WD6DOK. Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a grounding question. I've got an Alpha Delta switch, and does that switch need to be grounded, or can I consider the ground through the braid of the connections on it?
JK.
Yeah, AA0JK. Fred, go ahead on that.
Yeah, I think it'd be recommended to ground it.
Okay, thank you very much. It's kind of what I thought, but wasn't real sure. So I just went back to my ground bus, and then I should be good.
Okay, be careful how you hook that ground up so you don't wind up with a daisy chain loop situation there with your grounds. Sounds like you're doing just fine. A0JK.
Yeah, I've got a ground bus that all the rigs are tied to that one point. I don't tie any of the equipment together and then run it down. So that it all goes back to the bus, and I was just wondering about this one switch that I have set up. But I believe you've answered the question. Thank you very much, and I'll turn it back to net control. This is Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. WD6DOK, Rich. Yeah, grounding sounds like it'd be good on that switch potentially per Fred there. So thanks there for the follow-up there, Fred, and good question there, Rich. Okay, any other last-minute check-ins, traffic, or questions? Please call now. Okay, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. I'll give one last final call. Any other questions, comments, or check-ins for the Learning Net, please call now. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and start to wrap things up here. I appreciate everyone being here this evening, as all evenings. My name is Daron. Call sign is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. If you wish to contact the Learning Net with topic suggestions or to set a date to act as net control operator or guest Elmer, you may do so at any time via email at drclearningnet@gmail.com. Also visit us at groups.io/g/ham-learning-net, as well as on YouTube as well. Search for W0TX or DRC. This evening we had a total of 12 check-ins, and we'd like to thank everyone who participated. We especially appreciate and thank our Elmers. Thanks to the Denver Radio Club for allowing us to use their repeaters for this net. We invite you to join us on the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. for an Elmer session prior to the regularly scheduled Denver Radio Club meeting at 7 p.m. Normally would be in person, but due to restrictions, we're meeting online. And so if you go to w0tx.org, on the front page there, about halfway down, you'll see the meeting topic as well as the link for the Google Meet. Again, everyone is welcome to join that. Starting at 6 p.m. is an Elmer session, very similar to this, and then at 7 p.m. is the meeting itself. Again, this hopefully should be recorded and put up on YouTube, so if you do miss it, it will be available online afterwards. We'll go ahead and close the net this evening at 20:35, 8:35 local PM Mountain Time. Go ahead and, again, next week is actually the meeting, so that would be August 19th next week, so that will be, again, next week. Again, 20:35, 8:35, we'll go ahead and close the net. This is K1DBC, Daron, closing the net, DRC Learning Net, returning the frequency to general use. Thank you. All stations, please stand by while the repeaters are placed in normal mode.
PL on.
All right, this is K1DBC, 7-3 to all, and we'll see you all next week with the regularly scheduled Denver Radio Club monthly meeting. Take care. I am clear.